Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today for this webinar, the second episode in our Xooa webinar series. This webinar is going to be on how Xooa accelerates blockchain app development on AWS, and I think we should get started now. So on the agenda today, I'm initially going to be discussing Amazon managed blockchain's impact. And then I'm going to dive into the stages of development for AWS system integrators alongside how Xooa helps with each of those stages. Finally, I'm going to do a demo of the Xooa platform on an Amazon managed blockchain network. So today we have two speakers. The first is going to be me. My name is Danker-Feldman, and I'm going to be running the presentation and demo portion of this webinar. The second presenter is going to be Arisht Jain, who is our lead software engineer, and he's going to be running the Q&A session of that portion of this webinar. So, who is Xooa? For those of us who haven't heard of Xooa, Xooa is an enterprise blockchain cloud application platform focused on reducing barriers for enterprise blockchain adoption by making blockchain app development easier, faster, and higher quality. So today there's a proliferation of cloud services that offer blockchain as a service capabilities. And there's essentially two different types of platforms. There are blockchain consortium platforms, which are focused on the underlying infrastructure and governance layers and the core blockchain services. And then there are your blockchain application platforms, which are more focused on developer productivity and creating business applications for general productivity or for specific verticals. And this is what that landscape looks like. On our left, we have our larger legacy players, your cloud providers like Amazon managed blockchain that provide the consortium and infrastructure platforms. And then on the right side, you have your application focused platforms, including Xooa. And when used in conjunction with Amazon managed blockchain, Xooa adds features and capabilities that make it among the deepest offering on the market. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about Amazon's impact on blockchain development. So blockchain is an exceptionally complex technology, and private blockchain is one of the most complex infrastructures to deploy because you can't rely on an overarching serverless public network. So building a scalable blockchain network with existing technologies is very complex to set up and difficult to manage with a lot of moving parts. It also has many infrastructure issues that underlie it. So to create a blockchain network, each network member must manually provision their own hardware. They must install their own software. They must create and manage certificates for access control. And they need to configure their networking components. Then after all of that, once the blockchain network is actually running, you need to monitor the infrastructure and adapt to changes, such as an increase in transaction requests or new members joining/leaving that network. We'll enter Amazon. Amazon was the first cloud provider to offer blockchain as a service or managed blockchain that automates much of that complexity and reduces the DevOps burden on the organizations adopting blockchain. Amazon managed blockchain eliminates the overhead required to create the network and automatically scales to meet the demands of thousands of applications running millions of transactions. And then once your network is up and running, managed blockchain makes it easy to manage and maintain your blockchain network. Additionally, Amazon correctly bet on Hyperledger Fabric as the DLT for the enterprise blockchain space during its early days. So let's now dive into the stages of development to better understand each of them, and then how Xooa impacts each of those stages. So there are essentially 3 stages. There's experimentation, there is testing and development, and then there is production. Those are the 3 phases I'm going to be focusing on today. So first is experimentation. And this could be a single person experimenting or many within a company, determining what blockchain might look like within that company once it's adopted. So we offer this, we offer this new opportunity. Well, DevOps concerns are significant to just begin experimenting, as you can't separate developer and DevOps concerns. You have your backend infrastructure, of course. You have your continuous integration and continuous development pipeline continuous deployment pipeline development. And then you have your integrations development. So integrations need to be developed from scratch, which can take significant time. Well, AMB does a great job of managing infrastructure, but to begin using blockchain with even just a small Amazon managed blockchain network, it must be provisioned and run 24/7 if any work and progress is to persist. Then finally, your developers must have specific blockchain expertise, which can oftentimes be difficult to come by. So for developers in the experimentation phase using Xooa, Xooa provides a serverless platform as a service. So that infrastructure doesn't even need to be considered during the experimentation phase. As an added simplicity capability, you can experiment in a centralized environment, which is more cost-effective and flexible than within a distributed network. You also have your choice of deploying the app through the user interface or our deployment APIs, where you can deploy through GitHub, or we offer extensions through VS Code as well. You can run endless mockups and demos that can be invoked at any time on a permanently available private ledger with API endpoints. And then finally, Xooa managed smart contracts allow non-blockchain developers to put DLTs to use without having to code smart contracts. You'll see what that looks like during the demo, but it's essentially pre-built use cases that incorporate a private ledger in order to take a lot of the guesswork out of developing a blockchain application. For businesses engaging in the experimentation phase using the Xooa platform, first off, when app developers use Xooa's platform, they can delay the deployment of the consortium until the app is ready for production. This already removes a major early stage obstacle. You can get straight to the business value by skipping overhead development requirements like the infrastructure and CI/CD. So you can also review demos and prototypes early in order to provide early feedback and catch mistakes promptly. Next, we enter the development and testing phase, which is where a lot more progress is made toward that production-ready deployment. So the DevOps concerns from the experimentation phase largely remain during the development and testing phase. And additionally, collaboration on a project is difficult between developers as they're operating in different environments. This makes for a cumbersome development process, especially with a new and complex technology like blockchain. It also contributes to slow prototyping. And finally, switching blockchain technologies has downstream implications. So changing the DLT requires changing the client app, which again can add months to an already drawn out development process. So for developers using the Xooa platform in this phase, the integrations are built for you, which saves significant time, as code can be published directly from GitHub through a local upload or through Xooa's VS Code extension, as I mentioned briefly earlier. Debug logs are streamed to the developer's web browser for smart contract debugging entirely on the cloud. He's very much facilitating that process. Finally, developers can focus on writing and testing code without waiting on DevOps engineers to manage that infrastructure. For businesses using the Xooa platform during this phase, specifically useful to this phase, Xooa offers an API sandbox and a world state and transaction browser that allows business users early access and accelerates front-end development. Additionally, there are low-code and visual platform capabilities that are easy to grasp, like our forms builder that allows you, as you can see on the right here, to customize your own form that will, each field will then be uploaded to your blockchain ledger. And then additionally, there's a dashboard feature that allows you to better visualize and analyze the data within your ledger. Additionally, like in the previous phase, organizations can delay the deployment of the consortium until the app is ready for production. The Xooa platform also allows business stakeholders to be involved early, which shortens the feedback loop and provides early feedback that may impact their data models while reducing waste. All of this means that the organization can have a better idea of the prospects and ROI of the project. This helps determine budgets, timelines, and risk then, and potentially most importantly, whether the project should even be brought to the production phase. So now we enter the production phase. Well, Amazon Managed Blockchain removes most of the production phase issues that projects face. Xooa does not offer the consortium orchestration or low-level blockchain infrastructure management offered by Amazon Managed Blockchain. So during the production phase, organizations can integrate with their platform while using Xooa's added features. So we integrate Xooa's platform on top. Well, but that being said, projects still would need to self-create the reliable middleware and processors required for working with blockchain environments. This is an essential step for any production-ready deployment. Then to even get to this phase in the first place, businesses typically need to have deep pockets due to the complexity of blockchain technology and developing blockchain applications. So for developers using Xooa during this phase, you can easily connect your Amazon Managed Blockchain consortium with an SQS-powered middleware integration through Xooa. The SQS integration allows the Amazon Managed Blockchain consortium to deal with spikes of usage without losing transactions, all while maintaining snappy client app response time through invoking Amazon Managed Blockchain transactions asynchronously. This lowers resource requirements by flattening usage spikes over time. Xooa's networks are also distributable. Centralized databases are easier to experiment with and suited more for early stages such as rapid prototyping, demos, and proof of concepts, while decentralized databases are normally used for your production phase, when you're going live and when trust is facilitated through decentralization by using blockchain. And this allows projects to gradually introduce complexities. Additionally, Xooa can participate in an existing blockchain consortium to bolster its reliability and credibility. You can transition easily from the Xooa cloud to your Amazon Managed Blockchain when entering the production phase. Then Xooa's abstraction layer lowers the learning curve for underlying systems and components in order to work with blockchain, which makes it simpler in the long run and faster to onboard new employees to these projects for ongoing maintenance. Overall, this has what our impact looks like for developers and businesses I'll get into in a sec. But first, Xooa enables organizations to quickly develop proof of concept prototypes that can serve as the basis for enterprise production deployment. First off, you can rapidly prototype in a consortiumless, centralized environment where it's much more cost-effective and flexible to develop out an application. You can then operate an iterative development on a complete stack. So your typical edit a line of code, deploy, then test the change cycle takes less than a minute. And then finally, you can go live once you're ready for that production phase on Amazon managed blockchain. For developers, there are several overall benefits for all stages here. You can utilize the commonplace concepts and tools that your developers are already using when building non-blockchain applications. You can spin proof of concepts in days and keep them forever cataloged on the cloud for future use. You can use developer tooling that increases productivity and saves costs while avoiding the need to self-create them in-house. And overall, that means you can easily experiment with proof of concepts and build reliable, production-ready applications. For businesses, you can take advantage of the resources and personnel your business already has in a much more cost-effective and efficient manner. You can shorten your time to app. You can give early exposure of blockchain apps in context to business stakeholders. And the number of potential blockchain projects increases as distributed ledger technologies can now be introduced as a feature of digital transformation projects instead of as the core characteristic. You can then develop out further features and then after introducing it as a feature of that digital transformation project, build a deeper blockchain system down the road. And overall, this reduces risks and costs of building blockchain applications. So overall, this means something very important, that you can focus on business problems, not blockchain problems. So blockchain complexity is a bottleneck for adoption. And services like Xooa that work in conjunction with Amazon managed blockchain remove significant barriers to entry and present businesses with an unparalleled opportunity to implement enterprise blockchain into their systems. I'll now dive into a demo of the Xooa platform so that you can get an idea of everything that I've been talking about. So here we have the Xooa console with its various available features. To briefly go over them, we have our My Apps section, which has all my past developed smart contracts listed out and cataloged for future use. So say I have my vehicle supply management smart contract here. If I wanted to, if I developed this, say 6 months ago, and I wanted to potentially go to a client or something like that with a new vehicle supply chain management smart contract, instead of developing a new one from scratch, I can wipe this one of sensitive data and use that instead to show a good smart contract. I have down here, I have my useful templates for building smart contracts. So you can see here my solution templates, which are, for example, digital currency, a bonds marketplace, healthcare records, elections and referendums, et cetera, et cetera. Before I dive into deploying one of these smart contracts, if I go to the networks section here, I can see the list of networks. These are the Xooa Cloud networks that are available immediately to all users. And then down here are the pre-configured networks that are put together on their respective platforms that I can then deploy the Xooa platform on top of as a tooling layer. So here I have my AWS network. To show how easy that is, if I go to the import tab here and import my AWS Xooa network JSON file, it'll grab all that information for me. I can select save. And after a couple seconds, you can see my new network has been saved. If I look at the nodes, I have an organization, a peer, and a certificate authority server, all available, and an order as well, excuse me. And then I have my available ledger there as well. If I go to the networks tab, this is now available to deploy on top of. So let's see what that looks like. I'll go to the custom smart contracts section. I'll choose the Hyperledger Fabric DLT. I have my choice of source here. I can choose the Xooa GitHub repository. I can choose a public or private GitHub. I can upload from my local architecture, and I can also write code directly in the browser. For the sake of this example, I'll use the Xooa GitHub. I'll do a simple get set smart contract, and I have my choice of network here. I'll choose the first AWS test network, and I'll select deploy. So now, my own Hyperledger Fabric environment is being created with the underlying chain code being instantiated and all the heavy lifting of the blockchain being done for me. So the complexities of deploying this app are being abstracted away and being done entirely on the Xooa side. This is useful again for early stage projects like proof of concepts, where instead of deploying this on top of the Amazon managed blockchain network that I've just done, I would do it on the Xooa cloud and use that for the experimentation and early development and testing phases. And then once I have that more overarching validation for this project, I could then begin to work on it on an Amazon managed blockchain. Once I want that increased sort of reliability and trustworthiness of that Amazon name there. So I can copy this API token, which is my means of identifying myself to the network. And as you can see here, my app has been successfully deployed, which took under a minute. So you can immediately begin interacting with this smart contract. If I go to the API tab, I have an API sandbox here that allows me to interact with this smart contract. I can enter my API token here, authorize my API, and here I now have access to this sandbox and each of these endpoints. So I'll select the set function, try it out, and just to show that this is interactive, I'll do ABC 1, 2, 3 here. I'll select execute, and after a couple seconds, I should get a yes, 200 response code with a unique transaction ID and an updated payload here. If say I want to adjust this key value pair to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can select execute. And once again, unique transaction ID and an updated payload. If I go to the world state tab here, I can see the most recent state of the world as it currently is, the values for each of the keys, in this case, ABCs, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, along with its timestamp. If I go to the history tab here, it'll take me to the transactions tab, and it'll show me all of the past transactions within this smart contract. So this is where the auditable, immutable portion of this smart contract comes in. This is the blockchain ledger portion. Additionally, if I want to add new users to this smart contract, I can create an identity very easily. I'd simply select add new. I can give them read or read and write access and the ability to manage identities, and then simply select create, and I can copy their API token for future use. This is useful, for example, when integrating with an external application. You can then use that API token in order to integrate with the Xooa platform. If I go to the Manage tab here, in the development process, it's a simple process. As I mentioned before, if I go to the View on GitHub repo here, I can easily edit a line of code within this smart contract, return to the smart contract, go to the Manage tab, select Upgrade the app, and then I could go to the API tab, test this upgrade by invoking the smart contract, and then going to the World State tab in order to see whether or not those changes have successfully taken place. So that drastically streamlines and shortens that process of development. Returning to the Manage tab as well, I can create an endorsement policy that is then followed on the Amazon Managed Blockchain platform through this, directly through the UI, through this endorsement policy builder. If I go to my Amazon Managed Blockchain tab here, you can see my list of networks that have been configured. This one is available, so I'll select this. As you can see here, the framework available is Hyperledger Fabric 1.2. Xooa currently has 1.4 in its beta, which we have been whitelisted for, so we'll be pushing that out relatively soon as an improved portion of our platform. I'll go to the Members tab here, select my net. Then here you can see the transactions that have been uploaded. If I click on this, yes, you can see that 2 transactions have been uploaded. This was the initial ABC123 transaction, and then the ABC123456 transaction. So you can see that that was a successful integration with the Amazon Managed Blockchain platform. Returning to the Xooa console, just to briefly show an additional application, one of our pre-built Xooa managed smart contracts. Say I'll use the best musical instrument. This is going to be our election smart contract that is available as a solution template. I'll add a new identity. We'll call it voter 3 or voter 2. I'll select create. And then I have my API token here. I'll select copy, go to the embed tab, input my API token, select next. It looks like there's some slight configuration issues potentially on the back end. Might be using an old network, but I guess the issue there is that the election is currently over, so I can't input a new person into that smart contract, unfortunately. But just to dive into a different smart contract instead, I'll use this vehicle supply chain management smart contract. If I say go to the identities tab and generate a new API token, I can go to the API tab, enter that API token, select authorize API, and I can easily create a new asset here. As you can see, this API sandbox is specific to this asset. This is an asset management smart contract. So this is specific to this use case in creating new assets. So I'll create a new one, try it out. And as you can see here, I have a set of information available. So say I'll change this VIN number and I'll select execute. And you can see I got a 200 response code and then all of this information now available to me. If I go to the world state, I can see that this data has been uploaded and recorded on the ledger. So that's now available to me. As one final thing, just to show the ledger for the AWS network that was configured before I step off and pass this as a Q&A to Arisht. If I go to the ledger tab here, I can see each of the past blocks that have been, all of the transactions and blocks that have been uploaded to this ledger in the custom smart contract that I built and the past custom smart contracts that have been deployed on this Amazon managed blockchain network. So if I go to the transactions tab, I can easily see each of those transactions, my ABC123 and ABC123456 transaction on this ledger. So all of that's easily available to me. And if I say want to check the integrity of one of the blocks, say I'm just curious about how it operates, I have a block hash calculator here as well that I can autofill and then select calculate hash, and you can see, yes, this chain is intact. If, for example, I change this B to an H and recalculated that hash, you can see, oh, this hash is now different from what it's supposed to be, so this chain is now broken. So it's been a demo of the Xooa platform, and that's my presentation. As you can see, Xooa used as a tooling layer as a service on top of Amazon managed blockchain offers a lot of added capabilities at all stages of development and experimentation, development and testing, and production. So the two used in conjunction offer a very deep stack, one of the deepest in the market, that make it much, much easier, faster, and cost-effective to develop out a blockchain application. That allows you to focus on the problems that matter within your organization, focusing on business problems, not blockchain problems. Thank you so much. I'm now going to pass it to Arisht for the Q&A portion of this webinar.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in today. And my name is Arisht, and I'm lead software engineer with Xooa. I'll be taking the questions you have. It could be based on the presentation Zach has just given today, or even something general to blockchain or our platform. You can find the Q&A section right below on your screens, and you could type your questions in that section. So I have already got 2 questions that I think I can answer here. So the first one is, can we still use AWS managed blockchain with Xooa right from start, even for POC? So I'd say absolutely yes. We do not restrict anyone to use external network or a Xooa network. So it's all up to you as to which network you want to use in the back, and go ahead with either from the start or for production. It's your choice. Second question I have gotten is how much time we can actually save with Xooa instead of provisioning our own network. So I'd like to refer to one of our case study we did some time back. So in that case study, we did find out that if you start your own network from the scratch, you have a lot of learning curve there as well. So it takes around 2 months there. But if you start with Xooa, you can build your POC even within 2 weeks. So 2 months gets reduced to 2 weeks with the platform, with the Xooa platform, if you use that, and save all the cost and the time associated with it. So I guess that's all the question I have received till now. So yeah, I guess we will be concluding here.
Fantastic. Thanks for that session, Arisht. And thank you everyone for joining us for this webinar on how Xooa accelerates blockchain app development on AWS. Have a great day.